Steve had always heard stories about the labyrinth hidden beneath the mesa biome. Legends spoke of unimaginable treasures locked inside but guarded by relentless challenges. Most who entered never returned, and those who did came back empty-handed, haunted by what they had seen. One day, Steve stumbled upon an ancient map while clearing out an abandoned desert temple. The map was old, its edges frayed, but the markings were clear. It pointed to the entrance of the labyrinth. Beneath the illustration, a warning read, "Enter only if you seek the truth, escape only if you survive." Steve couldn't resist. Armed with his diamond sword, a stack of torches, and some golden apples, he followed the map into the heart of the mesa biome. By nightfall, he found it, a colossal stone archway carved into the side of a cliff, overgrown with vines. The air around it felt heavy, and as he stepped closer, the temperature seemed to drop. The entrance was pitch black. Steve placed a torch on the wall, revealing a narrow passage that spiraled downward. Every step echoed ominously. The further he descended, the more he felt like the walls were closing in. At the bottom, the passage opened into a vast chamber. The labyrinth stretched out before him, with walls made of weathered stone and moss. The air smelled of damp earth and decay. In the distance, faint torchlights flickered. Steve stepped inside. As soon as he crossed the threshold, the ground behind him rumbled. He spun around just in time to see the entrance collapse, sealing him inside. His heart raced, but there was no turning back now. He moved cautiously, placing torches to mark his path. The walls seemed to shift when he wasn't looking, and strange sounds echoed through the corridors, scraping, whispering, distant growls. Steve soon encountered his first obstacle, a wide pit with no visible bottom. Suspended above it was a narrow bridge made of cracked stone. He tested it with 1 foot. It wobbled but held. Halfway across, a loud click echoed. Steve froze as arrows shot out from the walls. He ducked, narrowly avoiding the projectiles, and sprinted the rest of the way. The bridge collapsed behind him just as he reached the other side. Ahead, the path split into 3 directions. Steve hesitated but noticed a faint glow coming from the left tunnel. He followed it and found his first reward, a chest sitting in a small alcove. But as he reached for it, the ground began to tremble. The chest burst open, revealing not treasure but a swarm of silverfish. They poured out, their chittering filling the air. Steve swung his sword, cutting them down one by one. Their bites stung, but he fought through, eating a golden apple to regain his strength. When the last silverfish fell, the chest finally revealed its contents, a golden key and a cryptic note. The key unlocks one path, but beware the price of choosing wrong. Steve pocketed the key and pressed on. The next chamber was darker, with no visible torches. He crafted a few more from his supplies, illuminating the area. At the center stood a massive iron door, its surface engraved with intricate patterns. Steve placed the key into the lock. The door creaked open, revealing another part of the labyrinth, but as he stepped through, the door slammed shut behind him, and a deafening roar echoed through the chamber. From the shadows emerged a hulking golem made of sandstone, its eyes glowing red. It charged at Steve, shaking the ground with each step. Steve dodged, rolling to the side as the golem's massive fist smashed into the floor, leaving a crater. He counterattacked, striking with his sword, but the golem's tough exterior deflected most of the blows. Thinking quickly, Steve lured the golem toward a wall lined with weak stone. At the right moment, he baited it into smashing the wall, causing rubble to collapse onto it. The golem roared one last time before crumbling into pieces. Among the rubble, Steve found another chest. This one contained an enchanted bow and arrows tipped with glowing green feathers. He pressed on. The labyrinth grew more treacherous. Lava pits, moving walls, and hidden traps tested Steve's reflexes and wits. At one point, he narrowly escaped a falling ceiling, diving through a closing passage just in time. Hours passed, or perhaps days. Steve had lost track of time, but he knew he was getting closer. In the final chamber, the air felt heavier, charged with energy. At its center stood a pedestal, atop which sat a gleaming diamond-encrusted chest. Around it were towering stone guardians, their forms motionless but menacing. Steve approached cautiously, As soon as he touched the chest, the guardians came to life, their stone weapons glowing with enchantments. The battle was fierce. Steve used every trick he knew, his enchanted bow, golden apples, and even TNT he had scavenged earlier. The guardians were relentless, but one by one, they fell. When the last guardian crumbled, the chest unlocked with a soft click. Inside was the ultimate reward, a glowing artifact unlike anything Steve had ever seen. It radiated power, pulsating with energy. But there was no time to celebrate. The labyrinth began to shake violently, walls collapsing and lava pouring from cracks. Clutching the artifact, Steve ran. He retraced his steps, dodging falling debris and leaping over pits. The labyrinth was determined to keep him trapped, but Steve's determination burned brighter. Finally, he saw daylight. He sprinted toward the faint light, bursting out of the collapsing entrance just as the labyrinth sealed itself forever. Breathing heavily, Steve looked at the artifact in his hands. He didn't know its full power or purpose, but one thing was certain: this was only the beginning of a much larger adventure.